Today, we're doing something really interesting. We're going to decode the Vedas. But we're not just going to look at them as old religious texts. No, we're going to see them as a kind of blueprint, a blueprint for an entire civilization that existed thousands of years ago. So you gotta wonder, right? What secrets are really locked away in these ancient texts? I'll tell you this, it's way more than just prayers and hymns. What we have here is a direct window, a peek into the minds, the society, and even the day-to-day lives of people from over 3,000 years ago. And this is probably the most crucial thing to get right from the very beginning. The Vedas are known as Shruti, and that literally means that which is heard. The belief wasn't that some person sat down and wrote this knowledge. Nope. It was considered divine wisdom, directly perceived or heard by ancient sages in deep states of meditation, and then passed down orally, word for generations. So, to decode this whole blueprint, here's our game plan. First, we'll explore the foundations of this ancient knowledge. Then, we'll break down the 4 main books of wisdom. After that, we'll see how they act as a mirror to ancient life. And finally, we'll try to understand their incredible, lasting legacy. All right, so first things first, what exactly are the Vedas? Well, they were composed over a huge stretch of time. We're talking roughly between 1500 and 500 BCE. And they're this vast collection of hymns, ritual formulas, and deep philosophical ideas. Really, the whole shebang. They formed the absolute bedrock of ancient Indian thought and society. Now, what's really fascinating is that each Veda isn't just a single book. It's more like a library with 4 distinct layers. It kicks off with the Samhitas, which are the core hymns and mantras. Then you've got the Brahmanas, which are basically the how-to manuals for the rituals. Next are the Aranyakas, offering these deeper philosophical reflections. And finally, you get to the Upanishads, which contain some of the most profound philosophical discussions ever. So it's this incredible journey from ritual all the way to pure philosophy. Okay, so let's get to the heart of it all, the 4 main Vedas themselves. Each one has its own unique character, its own purpose, you could say, and when you put them all together, they paint this remarkably complete picture of that ancient world. You know, the easiest way to think about them is to give them job titles. So the Rig Veda, that's your poet and historian. The Yajurveda is the priest and ceremonial guide. The Samaveda is the musician and chanter. And the Atharveda, well, that's like the doctor and the everyday person's guide to life.
So let's start with the big one, the oldest and most influential of them all, the Rig Veda. Its name pretty much translates to the knowledge of praise, and that's exactly what it is. It's a massive collection of poems dedicated to deities who often represented forces of nature, like Indra, the god of rain, or Agni, the god of fire.
And when I say massive, I mean it. We're talking about 1,028 distinct hymns. That's just immense. It's why the Rig Veda isn't just a religious text. For historians, it's our single most important document for understanding the society, beliefs, and even the geography of this very early period.
Next up, we have the Yajurveda, the knowledge of sacrifice. And here's a really simple way to think about it. If the Rig Veda gives you the what to chant, the Yajurveda gives you the how. It's the practical, procedural guide for priests, laying out the exact formulas and actions needed to perform really complex rituals.
Then there's the Samaveda, the knowledge of melodies. This one is so cool because it takes many of the poetic verses, mostly from the Rig Veda, and it sets them to music. It's basically the world's oldest hymn book with musical notations, and many consider it the very root of Indian classical music. How amazing is that? And finally, we have the Atharva Veda. Now, this Veda is the one most connected to the day-to-day lives of ordinary people. It's filled with spells and charms for all sorts of real-life stuff, healing diseases, keeping your home safe, or just navigating the challenges of family life. It's a genuine mirror of the hopes and fears of the common person. So we know what the Vedas are, but what do they actually tell us about the society that created them? Well, it turns out they're a true mirror to that ancient world. By reading them carefully, historians can reconstruct a really detailed picture of Vedic civilization. I'm talking everything from their social and political systems to their economy, their beliefs, and even the specific rivers and lands they knew. One of the most important things the Vedas show us is how society changed over time. In the early period, in the Rig Veda, society seems a lot more flexible. Women had more rights, and the social hierarchy, the Varna system, was just starting to emerge.
But as you move into the later Vedas, you see that system become much more rigid and defined, and the role of the Brahmin priest gets way more important. Politically, the head of a tribe was the Rajan, or king. But, and this is a really crucial point, this wasn't an absolute monarchy. The king's power wasn't total. The texts mention two key councils, the Sabha and the Samiti, that actually advised the king and seem to have acted as a check on his power, which suggests some really early democratic ideas were at play.
And what about their economy? Well, it was centered on farming and herding animals. The cow, in particular, was incredibly valuable. It wasn't just for food. It was the primary measure and symbol of wealth in a society that worked on a barter system. Basically, the more cows you had, the richer you were. So, why does all this matter today? Because the Vedas aren't just historical artifacts collecting dust. Their influence echoes through thousands of years, shaping culture, philosophy, and society in ways we can still see and feel.
This quote really captures the essence of it perfectly. The Vedas are this foundational source, a mirror that lets us see the very dawn of a civilization, its structure, its beliefs, and how it changed over time. Their legacy is just vast. I mean, they're the foundation of so much of Indian philosophy and religion. As we saw, the Samaveda is the root of classical music, and the Atharva Veda gives us this incredible glimpse into early medicine and science. For historians, they are an absolutely indispensable source for understanding the ancient world. So it leaves you with a pretty cool thought, right? The next time you think about the roots of philosophy or music or even society itself, it's worth asking, what part of our world today began as a whisper, a chant that was heard by a sage thousands and thousands of years ago? The Vedas are a powerful reminder that the past is never really past.